Soon we'll be joined by a member of County Assembly from Meru County. His name is Jim Muchui. He is the majority whip in the Meru County Assembly. He'll be here. We'll be talking about the issues that are taking place in Meru, what's happening in Meru and the government of Meru. In the meantime, let's also look at what's happening elsewhere in the country. All these things. There is the issue of students who are sitting their exams from this morning. There is the issue of those that may not be able to sit their exams this morning, and very many other things.
There is. I wanted to talk about something specifically this morning.
Yes.
And I actually, as I looked at the clips over the weekend, last couple of days, I said to myself, wait a minute. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission actually has the power to arrest, right?
Yes, they do.
And then go into, prosecutorial procedure, etc., etc. But it was just very interesting to me that the videos that we saw of policemen and women being arrested by the EACC for allegations of corruption. I don't know if you can call them allegations since they were caught on camera, but all right. These are the charges essentially that would be leveled against them. But I thought it was very interesting that they had basically laid in wait for, however long to catch them in the act. They had, hours of footage of collections that were being done. And then they actually went ahead and arrested. But the question for me that lingers in my mind is, why now? This supposed corruption that has been taking place on the roads in Kenya did not start in 2023, allegedly by police. It has been happening for yonks. Public service vehicles and their operators have been complaining about the extortion that takes place on roads, etc., etc. And there have been thoughts about what should actually be done about it. But I'm wondering, this deliberate action and then the pursuant action in terms of arrests and, them being held till today is now when they're supposed to get to court. Why now and why with such fervor and, deliberate, and persistent engagement on this? What's happening now that would require that we see that the EAC is ready now to take these issues of extortion amongst the police very, very seriously? Why today?
EACC usually conducts those operations.
Yeah.
We keep seeing all the time, sometime you'll see EACC doing operations on a certain road where they lay in wait, they nab police officers, they take them. So are you asking what informs their decision to do an operation at a certain time?
Serially, and then say, why now? Why then? Why when it happened before?
Why October and not July?
Right. Or then are we and has it stopped? Because if you see, because the embarrassing nature, I'm just speaking about it from the point of police who say, okay, we've been caught. Obviously, because you've done it more and more as EACC, you've seen that you needed to come back. So even this arrest does not stand as a deterrent to get these folks off the road to do what they actually do. So is it just a cog in the wheel of operations at EACC, or does it actually bear fruit? Because if you've had to come back and arrest again, that means the arrest that you made in the past did not stop anybody from doing what they were doing.
But the optics, there are those who argue.
For whom?
For the
Everybody.
Yes. There are those who argue that the problem is not the police who collect the 50 and 100 bob. The real problem is their bosses who expect a certain return at the end of every day. So you are not on assignment to simply manage traffic. You're on assignment to collect money for your bosses. That is what has been alleged by some people. Whether this is true or not, I wouldn't know. But it is also alleged that by the time you get into traffic, it is a lucrative position that people pay to get within the police service.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. So it isn't as though you just land there. You may, from Kiganji, may be taken there. And you find these broomstick-thin officers on the side of the road, and they clearly look youthful. It's like they just finished Form 2. Those ones are straight from Kiganjo. But by and large, the ones you come across are people who have a portly disposition and give the impression that walking fast may be a bit of a strain on them. So the optics are useful, but even as those optics are useful, let's not lose sight. There are very many instances where the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have gone after what we call the big fish. Okay? We've seen steps taken, but usually that's just about it. You see steps taken, you hear of investigations. Every once in a while, you hear of someone unfortunate like Mwangi Wairia, who is actually picked up in the days when he was governor and driven to the headquarters. The point is this. You heard the judiciary complaining about funding and how inadequate the funding was, isn't it? Okay. Would you say the ethics and anti-corruption are adequately funded? Why do I bring in the question of funding? The efforts we see are efforts, but does ethics and anti-corruption have the muscle to take whatever efforts they made to the next level and to the next and to the next? That's a question of resources. So sometimes the fight against crime may not be hampered by an unwillingness. It may simply be hampered by a lack of adequate resources. You may want to, but you can't.
We've sure. We've heard the EACC often complain, say, look, we bring the cases, but in terms of a prosecutorial agenda, we then are not the ones who will take it to the next level. We do everything that we need to do to highlight these cases. If we need to arrest, we arrest. But in terms of then having the ODPP then come in and move on to the next level, then it gets to a place where we're handcuffed, no pun intended, but okay. They can't do anything beyond that. Do they have enough resources to be around the country on every single highway to make sure that this thing is taken? Obviously not. They do not. But then one would ask, if they did have enough resources, would we see that that would be then high point agenda for them to then be able to do this? But I'm just going back to the point that it struck me as I watched one of those videos when clearly this individual is stripped of their, image completely. But clearly it hasn't stopped it from happening.
But
it's not the first operation that has taken place by EACC. It is not the first time that policemen and women have been arrested for corruption or extortion on the roads. And so that gives rise to this. It doesn't serve as a deterrent, clearly. Because what happens? It doesn't. Because the fact that they're on the road doing it again means what? That people who were arrested and others saw, it did not stop them from doing it.
But is it a deterrent in any way, really?
It's not a deterrent. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
But even more importantly, the shame that we speak of, how long does it last?
Exactly. I mean, after a minute, you're done.
If it could stigmatize you, then it would matter. It doesn't, does it? When you have a situation where what we're talking about is considered to be normal, and the public also participate in their share.
Yeah. And then I imagine, because, the news report talked about how these individuals are going to be taken to Kilimani police station and then they would be, arraigned in court this morning. And I thought to myself, the people who are booking you as a policeman or woman are your colleagues. Yeah? They're booking you, they're taking you or whatever, they're putting you wherever they're going to put you.
Yep.
Is there shame at that point?
What shame?
It's kind of like, okay, yeah, let's do this, man. Leo ulipatikana usijali. Nani alipatikana juzi.
There is.
Is there?
Yeah, I think there will be. If as an officer you're arrested in the manner in which you're arrested, okay, first of all, you're already exposed. So people are looking at you like, umepatikana. There are those civilians who know you and they're looking at you like, what? Alishikwa. Police alishikwa. Already that's a big thing. And then what does the service do to you when you have been arraigned in court over what you should be doing, right? Is your ranking still the same? Are you still considered the same? Are you still ranked, the same way as you were before?
Are you? Do you still have a job even?
Do you have something that has gone into your file that indicates that you actually were arrested on allegations of corruption? You are then taken to court. This is what happened. You have a case going on. When you have a case going on, what happens? What's your status as a police officer when you have a case going on in court? And this is a case that clearly goes against the police service and everything that you stand for. There is something that happens to the individual officers.
100%, Eric.
It will not be a deterrent. Just the same way as we see all these people. People are arrested in the middle of the night. Their homes are raided.
And then?
But it doesn't stop anyone from doing.
We don't see that being a deterrent to stop others from doing it. There's absolute shame to the people who are arrested this way. There's trauma to their families. When police come and raid your home in the middle of at 5 a.m. and they're knocking heavily and your kids are awake and everybody's awake and they come in there and they're throwing everything all over and you've been arrested, you're in the news. There's a lot of trauma that, there's effect on the person and their families.
I get that. You wear the
But
scarlet
is there
letter
an
on your
effect
chest.
on the general picture
That's it.
countrywide about corruption?
That's it.
One would hope that these things would then send that message. Like we say, whenever the people are arrested, whenever we see the Asset Recovery Authority taking people to court and even EACC on asset recovery matters, whenever we hear court saying that yes, we attach your property and therefore we are forfeiting you've got to forfeit this kind of property that you have back to state, one would expect that at least with the kind of forfeiture and all that, it will be a deterrent. But maybe corruption is so deep-rooted that we just
That is just
see nothing else happening.
yeah.
It's something worth talking about.
I think so.
My question is, do we actually need police officers on the roads? Look at it.
What are they doing?
Do we need to see police officers, traffic police on the road? Why?
Doing what?
Managing traffic at traffic lights when the traffic lights are working.
What are those ones that even manage traffic?
On the highway.
On a highway, you find police officers
Doing what?
stopping cars and then
Checking what? What exactly?
What
you've
are
paid
those
cess
things we have?
or what?
Insurance.
insurance.
Checking insurance?
And the validity of a driving license and this and the other. And then what?
Then-
we deploy so many officers on the roads just to do that. To check the validity of your driving license. And whether you have a valid...
Whether your headlights, both of them are
And
working.
whether your car is defective.
And whether your car is defective, whether the tires are worn.
We do all that, yes.
And whether you are, speeding at a place that's clearly not marked that you should reduce your speed. But then you should know that you should reduce your speed.
Actually, you should.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move on into our next conversation. Our guest is in the studio. We want to talk about the issues affecting the Meru County government. And we're now joined by the Majority Whip in the County Assembly of Meru. His name is the Honorable Jim Muchui. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante, thank you.
Asante sana for joining us. That's the hot seat of the Situation Room. We're going to have an interesting conversation understanding what's going on in Meru. To welcome you to the conversation, CT Muga has the day's proverb. This week's proverbs will be from?
The country, Republic of Burundi. Okay? If you are dancing with your rivals, don't close your eyes.
If you're dancing with your rivals, don't close your eyes. Honorable Muchui,
Yes.
what do you make of this? What's your interpretation of this proverb? What is it saying?
Maybe probably that you be careful when your rivals doesn't forget that maybe even if your rivals formally, you are they don't forget that you are still rivals. So maybe when you are in the midst of your enemies, you should be careful. Always careful. Actually, there is one also in Meru that says when you sleep with a hyena, you should sleep with one eye closed. You don't close both eyes.
I just want to know why you're sleeping with a hyena in the first place. But okay.
Should you find yourself
Should you find yourself sleeping with a
sleeping
hyena?
with a hyena?
Yeah.
Don't close both eyes.
Yes, you close one.
Make sure that it's only one eye that's open. Mheshimiwa, which ward do you represent in Meru?
I represent Adwana ward. Adwana.
Adwana.
It is called Adwana ward. Adwana ward is in Tigania West. Yes, we border Isiolo.
I see.
Yeah, actually 90% of Isiolo airport is in my ward.
Really?
Yes.
Isiolo Airport is in Meru.
Yes, it's in Meru. But the offices are in Isiolo.
The tower is in Isiolo.
The hand is in Isiolo.
Okay.
The offices are in Isiolo, yeah.
But the land is in Adwana ward.
Adwana ward, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
We saw what was happening in the county assembly last week.
Yes.
There was the bid to impeach the governor of Meru County, which was supported by all members present. Were you present in the house?
Yeah, I was present.
Which means you voted yes to impeach the governor.
Definitely.
Why?
Okay, Eric, Meru County has been through a lot since the election, and you remember we ended such an issue barely maybe 2 months after we got elected.
Yes.
Because we got elected, we were literally unable to move with our governor. Because there is a way the institutions are expecting to work. And we got to a point where I don't know whether it's out of experience, because also the president mentioned, remember the president mentioned after the first impeachment that they had experienced issues with the government, but they helped him. They helped her. So we had a few challenges, because now when we got into office, it's like the government expected, she was formerly the woman rep.
Yeah.
And the women, the accountability structures, and she wasn't expected to work with so many people. So when we got in and she found herself in, maybe her perception was that this is my government. I looked for this government. I should run it alone. Now forgetting that the county government is run by the county assembly and the executive. So we really had issues, because you would be the assembly, and then you all of a sudden you hear the governor is in your ward with your opponent that you are competing with in the other election. Without even telling you, so an who informs you, the governor is here, is you the person who was number 2. So there was a lot of political issues, and also on matters following the structures and the laying down rules. So it's like she came with her own set of laws that she was supposed to follow.
Like which one?
For example, there are laws on issues of employing people. So she came and completely bypassed usurped the powers of the Public Service Board, and now she would go to a rally, and they say, okay, I want to employ cleaners in this market. Can those who want to be cleaners raise their hands? You saw it in the Senate the other time. And then people will raise their hand, and then maybe like she needs to. Yeah. Then they would come on the stage like 10. Yeah. And then, do you want this one? No. You want this one? So she picks 2, the most popular. Now you're employing us. So we end those issues. And we had a very hard time to tell her, no, these things should be advertised. Go through the public service. And then and then we have it as a competitive process. Because now you can imagine, Eric, your mother is in that rally, your wife is there, and maybe your children. Then you come on stage now, and then you are voted. You're not favored.
And people don't.
You see that kind of trauma and all that. It was too much. And they are laying down rules on how that should be carried out. That's an example of one. So now we came and we went through some negotiations. We agreed, and then we thought we went to work with the government, because we thought we can maybe help as an assembly in terms of governance. So we have been with her. I have personally been her friend for the last maybe like 6-7 months after the other impeachment. We have tried our best, but it isn't working.
Tell us, after the last impeachment,
yes,
what attempts were made at reconciling the assembly and the executive?
First of all, I was in the part that was in the negotiations. We were invited by the deputy president. We were 3 representatives of the 3 regions in Meru, and then the speaker and the majority leader and the minority leader. And we sat for 3 days. We were able to agree on a few things. But now what happened also in that negotiation was that even before we concluded the negotiation, the governor went back to Meru and now started intimidating the MCAs, such that she wouldn't go, like while the negotiations were going on, even before. There is even something we were to sign at the deputy president's office, which was never signed. We were to sign a document on the agreement. Now, what happened in the process of negotiations? She went back there. She will do the okolea. There's something she calls okolea, whereby she organizes a rally on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Maybe a rally, like it's attended by like 10,000 people. So she comes with gumboots, uga, and all that gives people. So if she does that in your ward, you're done, because she'll come do it in your ward and then vilify, you have refused to work with her. So what she did as the negotiations were going on, she went and started now doing those rallies. Actually, she started doing them now. It's not on a Sunday only. They started now doing them like 3 times a week. So she could come in your ward. So you are like forced to join her. So by compulsion, MCS were forced to join even before the negotiation, before we joined formally. So the few who were left also gave in. That's what happened. So the negotiations and the agreements were left prematurely. We left before we concluded.
So there was no conclusion,
there was
outcome
no conclusion. Actually,
for these negotiations.
the
that are
document
being...
is, up to today, the document is in Honorable Kiri's, the MP for Bori, laptop. It has never been printed.
So let's take a break. We'll come back and continue this conversation shortly. 28 minutes to 8. The Honorable Jim Muchui is the member of the County Assembly representing Adwana Ward in Meru County. He's also the majority whip in the County Assembly. We want to understand what's going on in Meru County. What's the beef really between the Assembly and the Executive? Kepitia will be telling you more about it shortly.
Spice.
Mheshimiwa, you're telling us about the efforts that are being made at reconciling the Assembly and the Executive after the last impeachment bid. The Deputy President was spearheading these talks. We heard that, he met with the elected MPs plus the Senator. He met with the Governor separately. He met with the MCA separately. There was now supposed to be a meeting between... What was the plan here for negotiations?
Okay, the plan was to make Meru County work. Because you understand also, Eric, that the issues in Meru are both legal and political, in a way. And there is no way a county can function without the executive really working well with the complementing each other, actually, with the executive. So the issue was to see a situation where the executive and the assembly works together towards serving the people of Meru. And actually it was achieved but temporarily. Because now, when after the first impeachment, after we reconciled, we went back to work. But now the governor again now went back to the issues that we had last time, and disregarding all the laws.
Everything that you had.
Yes.
You are among the leaders of the Assembly.
Yes.
Were you on the forefront of these talks?
Yeah,
Did you, as an Assembly, have your asks? Did you go for those meetings saying, this is what we'd like as a bare minimum from the governor, or to get an understanding on these particular issues? And what issues were they?
First of all, we wanted to have there was an issue that came so strongly, the issue of maybe an equalization fund. I don't want to call it one fund. The issue of, it's not even a fund.
A development fund.
But a equalization development fund, let me call it. But it's not even a fund because now it does have its own independent management. It's more of a way of equalizing the ones. Because we realize also what's happening in the counties, Eric, is that using governor was voted in some regions and maybe she was not voted in others. And there is always a tendency of directing resources on where you are voted most, or the areas that you perceive will be your strongholds in future elections. So we wanted to have a mechanism where there is a minimum for everyone, such that now even if you don't agree, maybe your ideologies and the ideologies of the MCA in that ward does not mean that ward doesn't end up marginalized.
Right.
So we agreed on a figure, but now even as we moved, as we moved forward, she started now using it as a tool of maybe micromanaging you, so that now, if you don't agree, if you have different views, maybe the money for your word is not released.
Okay.
You understand? And right now, actually, we have a bill to cure that in the Assembly. We have a bill coming. We want to have a certain percentage of the development money, saying that at least for the minimum, we want to pass it in the Assembly. So that now at least this minimum, everyone will get this minimum, so that the other money is left at the discretion of the executive.
Okay.
So, so we had those issues that we went with them on the negotiating table. Also, she had started grooming the ward administrators. So if, for example, in the one that I come from, she deployed all the ward administrators to their home ones. For example, the president doesn't agree with the MP. So he appoints a DO, a DCC, a DCC from the same constituency. You understand what that means?
To be a DCC in their constituency.
In their constituency. Now the ward administrator is deployed to your ward, who comes from the ward administrator comes. So the governor uses that ward administrator for all the developments, completely selling the MC. That's why I'm telling you, the issues in Meru are largely political and also legal.
Okay, I hear you saying a couple of things, Mweshimiwa.
Yes.
We've talked about sidelining. You've used that word a couple of times. You also talk about money not going towards projects. At the first impeachment, were you involved in that?
Sorry?
The first impeachment.
What?
You're involved in the first impeachment because this is the second time she's being impeached, isn't it?
Yes.
Did you vote for her impeachment?
Did you
the
vote
first
for her
time?
impeachment at the first?
Absolutely. Actually, it's only one. The other time, we were 68 out of 69 those who voted for
Okay.
the impeachment.
At that first time, she did allude to, and she said, in some circles that she felt as though she's being witch hunted because some things she was very clear about, that she was not going to be involved in any kind of cronyism when it came to then, approving budgets just so that people could then pursue their personal interests. And it seemed it didn't sit well with many members of the county assembly. Can you give your thoughts on that?
I think, on that, you understand that the governor controls all the budgets and maybe the policy towards it. For us, we only approve.
Yes.
Now, when you say people want to maybe to misuse county
Funds.
resources or county funds, how do they control? And you are the one. How do they misuse when you are the one in control?
Yes,
When
so-
you put your control mechanisms in place,
Yeah.
then how does an MCA come when our rights is when our roles are oversight, legislative, and representation? How do I get to county coffers? That's the question maybe you would like to ask. Because I think that was because you realize when she has accused the MPs of cartelism. She has accused the MCS of cartelism. She has accused the CS Linturi of cartelism. She has accused Kraito of cartelism. She has accused Muchui of cartelism.
Okay.
So how comes the whole
all
county,
one
all
big
people are
cartel.
All
cartels?
of you are cartel. One
Because now
cartel.
what the governor does,
Yes.
every time she has a problem, she has done anything wrong, and then there's something else, she goes to the people and then, they want to steal your money. I'm protecting you. I'm protecting your money. Right now, the issues we have in our impeachment motion, and maybe you have seen it,
There's
you
a
realize
lot,
that the sister is a PA. The other sister is the bodyguard. Then the brother is the security. The husband to the brother is also the other security to the sister. Then the brother-in-law, the husband to the sister who is the PA, is the director external leakages or something. Now, the issues we have in the motion, our county number one is the misuse of county resources. And the family members, they have received a lot of money, which is indicated, maybe catering services. Now, the question we're asking is this, even before we go far, how do you, is the sister a pre-qualified supply of catering services?
What if she was? Would you still have a problem with that?
Yes, there is a problem. That's an hypothesis.
No, if she, because the question you've asked
if she was
now is that
pre-qualified.
if she was pre-qualified,
Yes.
if the individual was pre-qualified, but
Yes.
at the same time held the position of being the governor's sister, would you have a problem with it?
Yes, we don't have a problem because now
Because it's
you
her
should not
sister.
trade, yes, you should not trade with your relative. Now, can I, like in my office as an MCA, can I employ my sister as a PA?
Why not?
Actually, I'm
What's the
asking why
problem?
not really. Now that you mentioned, I'm thinking why can't
Is
you
it
employ a
against the
sister?
law?
Is it against the
It's
law?
nepotism.
No, but is it against the law to employ a relative, especially if that relative is qualified? We're just asking.
We're asking,
Yeah,
we want to know.
I get you. Okay, I don't think really it's fair in all standards because now I have so many people who supported me. Okay, I don't know legally, but politically, I don't think.
Okay, because
It raises
you
a
are-
question
now,
of
now
integrity.
let me go back to the issue of
Strange, okay.
let me go back to the issue of the issue of the suppliers and all that. I don't think the sister is legally actually the sister is supposed to be pre-qualified to supply or to do contracts with the county.
Okay.
Yes, it's conflict of interest.
And she's not, according to you.
Sorry,
She's not pre-qualified.
she's not pre-qualified and she's doing.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
in the first place, she's not supposed to be pre-qualified. That's why there is a pre-qualification.
Okay.
She's
Essentially, she's being accused of single sourcing.
not single sourcing. It's not single sourcing. It's conflict of interest. Yeah, it's conflict of interest.
You know the issue of a conflict of interest. It's always an interesting subject,
Okay.
and it's something that perhaps one can never discuss or talk about conclusively. You've mentioned many things that you say the governor has done wrong.
Yes.
Okay, but she has also accused MCAs. Do any of her accusations hold water? Because essentially what she's alluding to is that MCAs want her to agree to certain things, and she's unwilling to agree to these things.
But is that in the impeachment motion? Because now I think, actually, she has also accused us of being used by the external forces, that we are being compelled to impeach her by some maybe forces somewhere. But I think we should limit ourselves to the accusations that we are put in that motion.
List them for us. What are you accusing her of exactly?
Number one is misuse of resources.
Okay.
Because now you can't embezzle county funds using your relatives.
Okay.
You
Number
can't
two.
or you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Sorry, you shouldn't. Okay, you can, but you shouldn't because she has done.
Number
So
two.
you should. Number two, we have accused her of nepotism. There is there is a very interesting story. The government was invited to China by some firm somewhere in China, which does
A private company.
Yes, a private company, which does cancer treatment equipment. So they wanted to partner and do a cancer treatment center in Meru, a cancer center in Meru. So the government received a letter. We have those letters, and she was expected to go there with some technical team, oncologists and all that. So the government didn't go. She sent her sister, the PA, the brother, who is the security, the husband to the sister, and the CC healthy.
Okay.
So the brother is a security officer employed by national government.
Okay. So he is a police officer.
He's a police officer actually. The sister has done something, a diploma. I don't know in what, but
PA.
it's not in health.
Okay.
It's
The
not
PA.
anything to do with it. Yeah, it's the PA.
But she's the PA to the governor.
Yeah, she's the PA to the governor.
Okay.
And also now the husband. And now the
And the CC.
the CC is a pharmacist.
Okay.
So the letter, where we have an issue, the letter written by the county secretary to the devolution ministry for approval. He says that this is our technical team
Yes.
to go at the benchmark on cancer treatment machines and all that.
Okay.
Number two, they were supposed to go and benchmark on issues. There were machinery. There's somewhere, I think we are being offered some machinery by China government on agriculture machinery and the issues on affordable housing.
Okay.
But the main one was the issue of
the cancer treatment.
Okay.
Okay.
So the question was this, and also the lawyer came there and they tried to argue that there was no county government money lost in the trip, but this was like a donation to the people of Meru, and you cannot argue this. There was no resources lost because you realize that so even in our development we receive a lot of money from the donors, so that was a donation in kind also. So the question we are asking is this: we have so many oncologists in the county government of Meru. How do you, if the governor went maybe with this team, maybe it could be understandable. But how would you send your security or PA or near the technical team to go and benchmark on?
Can we look at these counts that are being brought against her? I know you've talked about some of them, and obviously it doesn't sit well with a lot of folks. So, but let's look at the ones that were brought then before. The assembly. There are 7 counts. Gross misconduct is one of them, followed by misappropriation of county funds, usurpation of the law and the constitution, nepotism, which you've talked about extensively, bullying, which is interesting. That's, I think you also talked about that when you talked about when she comes to your wards and things like this. Contempt of court. And then the last one, which is a count, is talking about naming a public road after her husband without following the due process. So those are 7 that have been brought.
Right now.
I mean, that's according to, that's what you impeached her on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this
you
time
impeached her
round.
on those
Yes,
7 counts this time round.
Yes.
Now, of these things, they seem to kind of flow into each other, right? But now, on these counts is what she has been impeached on. And now, you also say that you have, according to the assembly, that you have evidence of each and every one of these things happening, and based on that, she does not fit to serve.
Yes.
I'm going to go back to another thing then, because this thing cannot be void of speculation. People say things that allude to one thing or another. that because she has spoken out in the manner in which she has, and she has done things in the manner in which she has, it hasn't sat well with a lot of people. And that's why now this raft of counts has been thrown at her, because the manner in which she has spoken out and held her position is unpalatable for many. Is that true, or are we sticking to these counts and saying she has done wrong on these counts, and it is because of that she should then be removed from office?
You realize that there are many things that cannot be put in the impeachment motion, because there are many things that you may not be able really to prove legally when you're told to prove. So if you pick the ones you can prove, and that doesn't mean that there are no many others out there.
So there are more than these 7.
There are more than there are many more than these that you cannot be. You realize there are areas that you even suspect money has been lost. But who has those documents that can prove that the money hasn't been lost? It's her. She cannot give you documents and go and impeach her using them. So we have so many other problems that we can talk about, but there are the ones that you can prove.
And on these 7 counts, can I remind you again? On these 7 counts, what you're saying is that there's evidence that has met the evidentiary threshold.
Yes.
Gross misconduct.
Yes.
Misappropriation of county funds. That money has been taken which was supposed to be used for something and has been diverted to something else. Usurpation of the law and the constitution. Nepotism. Bullying. Contempt of court. Naming a public road after her husband without following the due process. All of these things, you have evidence that sits at the gate of each and every one of these counts.
Yes.
Okay.
All of them. These are the ones. The problem we faced last time is that we did have a lot of evidence. We did have documents. We asked for all the people we are saying they have been employing. For example, one of the usurpation of one of the counts. On the issue of usurpation of the powers of the Public Service Board, that's misuse of office. We approved as an assembly 9 positions of the chief officers. Today the governor has 18
chief officers.
18 chief officers. She has never gone through the Public Service Board, and we actually summoned the Public Service Board in the assembly, and we asked them, now, did you approve these 9? They have written as letters confirming that they don't know actually whether those people are employed by the.
So how do you know that they're employed?
We have their letters. We have their pay slips. We have a letter by the
letter confirming their employment.
Sorry.
You have letters confirming
letter of
their
appointment.
employment.
We have letters of appointment.
From
who from?
No, we have our systems in the.
No. Who appointed them?
sorry,
Who's
but
the
who wrote
appointing
the letter?
authority?
The county secretary for the governor.
Okay.
He has signed county secretary for the governor. Number 2, there's an issue that has brought a lot of heat in Meru, the issue of traffic marshals. The governor went and collected some people and bought motorbikes using government money. These people were never, positions were never advertised. It was never competitive. And then she employed, we have all those videos, launching them. She called them traffic marshals in Meru to control the traffic and others. When we have an inspectorate unit functioning. So we follow through the public service also. We invited we summoned the Public Service Board on the same, and they say they don't know whether such people exist in Meru. They're on our own, controlling traffic. They are being paid. So when we followed up, we have a payroll. We have their payroll. We have their pay slips. The governor went in the office of the governor, and now she has she some of them are indicated as senior supporting staff. Then the others are cleaners. They indicated as cleaners. We have their pay slips. We have the book that they sign every day, a copy of it. So all these things should go through the public
Due
Service
process.
Board.
So due process is the Public Service Board must advertise these positions.
Yes.
And then
What
go
happens?
through recruitment process.
What happens then?
Who signs the letter of appointments normally in such a process?
It's the public service.
It's the Public Service
Yes,
Board
it's public service.
that does the appointment.
Yes.
So the chair of the Public Service Board is the one that appoints you to office,
No,
or is it the county secretary?
you go through the interview. Then when you go through the interview, you get an appointment letter from the Public Service Board.
From the Public Service Board?
Yes.
Not the county secretary?
Not the county secretary.
So have you summoned the county secretary and asked them why?
We summoned him twice. He didn't appear. He ignored. He didn't even read our letter.
Okay.
We summoned the chief of staff. He not appear. And then realize also something. I think there are some things we cannot put in the impeachment motion. Or like 95% of these traffic marshals come from two churches. Her church and another church that I don't want to mention in Meru town that they preach with. So the whole church is employed.
Okay. That's a problem too.
You see, now you cannot go to Senate and
say that
and
she's
say these people are from the same church and you cannot prove. You understand? That's what I'm saying. We have so many issues in Meru that we may not be able to.
Mweshimiwa Jim, one thing that is questioned here, because I mean, look, it could be seen as a rarity, right? That you bring a motion of impeachment twice in a. It's a year. It's twice in a year. Impeach once, impeach twice in 12 months. Shouldn't you then all seek fresh mandate from the people? And this is the question that has come up. If this is proving so difficult, because obviously there's a clash of personalities here, that is clear. Whether these counts hold water or not, there's a clash of personalities. There are issues as per the stuff of her governorship and her leadership, right? Would it not make sense to dismantle this whole house of cards and say, you know what? Let's go back to the ballot and see if the people of Meru, for whom all of you represent, members of the county assembly, the governorship, all elected, should you not just go back and say, look, guys, can we start this thing from the beginning? Would it work?
You have a governor who can't agree with her deputy, can't agree with MCS, can't agree with a single MP in Meru, can't agree with anyone in leadership in Meru.
So she's the problem.
Can't agree with all the people. If you got a driver from here going to Embu, then he causes an accident at maybe somewhere around Nyayo Stadium, causes an accident around Kasarani, causes an accident around Thika, is involved in another accident maybe around Sagana. Now before he gets to Embu, he has like 7 accidents. You think the people on the road are the problem?
Maybe the road is bad.
What do you think? For him only? Or her? So, in terms of seeking fresh mandate, I think the problem is one person. And even in the time of Jonah, when there was a problem with the boat, they did not really...
They threw away.
They did not throw the whole boat because now one person has a problem with Jonah. So I think that's what should happen. Because they don't believe really Meru has a problem. It's only one person who has a problem.
We're coming to an end, but in all honesty, was she not popularly elected?
Is she not still?
She was popularly elected, but also
So
we
let her go
were
back to the people.
also popularly elected, and that's why I think the people who drafted the constitution foresaw such a problem. That's why they put the issue of impeachment. So now when people make a mistake in ballot, it can be corrected.
Also, people may have made a mistake by voting her in. Is that what you're saying?
Actually, they are regretting now. Yes. Yes. And actually,
So what
impeachment.
your solution here is...
Before we go, we have. Let me tell you another thing we have done. On 14th this month, we organized a meeting and invited the governor and all Meru leadership to see whether we can solve issues at Thika Sunstar. She never appeared. Instead, she sent over 200 goons from Meru to come and in the meeting. She has a letter. I said, I did the letters.
She did not appear.
And the leadership, the MPs, the CSs, we want them to talk about Meru. She never appeared. So what do? We have 7, actually from today, we have at least a possibility of 7 more impeachments. 7. So for us, because we don't want to be blamed by the people at the end of the day that you saw the mess, you never did your work, we will do it as much as possible until Meru is clean.
Jim Muchui,
as many times as possible.
Is the majority whip in the Meru County Assembly. Thank you very much for joining us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.